what his things are is he doesn't like things that are like true crimey and scary. And then also not like when children are like getting something scary or dangerous happening to them.
So the movie The Baby is off for Rob.
I really wish that Rob would watch The Baby. I would love to watch The Baby with Rob. Yeah, it's just like that movie. Well, it's on the list. It's sort of on my list, but it's called Magic with Anthony Hopkins. Did you see that?
Oh, I didn't see that one.
That seems like it would be so interesting because Anthony Hopkins is a creepy guy with a marionette. Not marionette. What's the ventriloquist dummy? What is that called? Is that called a ventriloquist dummy?
If you have a dummy that you talk with your hand, yeah.
Okay. Not so a marionette's the kind with the strings, not that kind, the other kind. And he talks through it. Doesn't that sound like it would be really
Anthony Hopkins?
Magic on Kanopy.
Holy cow. I must have missed that one. Was that in the horror section of Kanopy?
It was before the end of the month. I think they kind of switched up their collections.
Oh, there's the puppet. Director Richard Attenborough?
Richard Attenborough?
Isn't that the famous actor from like Great Escape and stuff?
I don't know.
He's the guy from Jurassic Park, the old guy.
Oh my gosh,
who starts
that
the
guy.
park?
Yeah.
They all move, motorized, of course, but people would say they could see the fleas. Oh, I can see the fleas, Mummy, can't you see the fleas? Clown fleas and high wire fleas and fleas on parade.
Hello, welcome to I Blame My Shelf. It is that time of year where we like to curl up on the couch and watch horror movies. And Jen and I had a brilliant idea that we would dip into Kanopy, the library's
Streaming service
for video and TV shows and stuff like that. They have a whole horror section. We thought we'd spend this episode and just dive right into what we think would be a fun movie watch. And then hopefully, share some good ideas for you to watch from Kanopy. And then we'll pick something and we'll come back with another episode to talk about, do a little movie, what do they call it? Movie review podcast. Yeah. We would do a movie watch.
Yeah, it's like a watch party, but you could watch it with us, right? You could pause the podcast and then go watch the movie and then come back and hear us discuss it.
Right.
It's like a book club.
Yeah, we'll call it the Library Watch Party podcast episode for a horror film for October.
Spooky season edition.
Yes. And so that begs the question right off the bat, Jen, what is your experience with horror movies and the horror genre?
Well, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so everything like I almost said Nightmare Before Christmas. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Every town has an Elm Street.
And Halloween and Friday the 13th. Those were all staples when I was growing up.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the great series kind of came out of the late 70s and 80s.
And I thought, I don't know if they hold up because I haven't rewatched all of them, but Halloween, the first Halloween is that's John Carpenter. I think the director is John Carpenter, and that's a really good movie. But my experience is that I wouldn't, some people, they love horror movies and are just like, they're aficionados. I wouldn't call myself that, but I do have a selection of horror movies that are part of some of my favorite movies. And I do enjoy a good one. I do have certain things that do really scare me. Like, The Conjuring, Exorcist, those kinds of movies, anything with possession in it. I can watch it.
Those are the worst horror.
Are they to you
For
too?
me, yeah, I can't do that.
I can watch them.
Well, I can do it, but we'll talk about how I watch it.
Yeah, I was just going to say how I watch it. I watch it from behind a pillow. Like I put a pillow in front of me and one eye out of the pillow. And then
your head's tilted to the side a little bit? Oh, no, your eye is poking out the side of the pillow.
Poking out the side, and then I can cover it when I need to. Yeah.
You could use like a notebook. Anything could
work. Anything could work, yeah.
Pillow's comfortable though, I guess, if it's going to, if you have any accidents. So I do something similar, whereas when I'm watching a horror movie, especially amongst people, and I don't want them to see me with a pillow in front of my face, I just stare at the bottom corner of the screen.
Oh.
So it looks like I'm watching, but I'm not. I just dissociate.
Interesting.
and don't pay attention to what's going on the screen.
You go to your safe space.
Yeah. Doesn't always work because there are jump scares and things that pop out when you least expect them. You can kind of see in a scene when it's going to get scary.
Well,
So
sometimes you don't know, but yeah.
I watched a lot of horror as a teenager. I watched all those Nightmare on Elm Street, Exorcist, those things.
Mm-hmm.
And while I didn't, they did scare me a little bit, but I wasn't really bothered by it. It was like more in my college years. I watched The Ring.
The Ring is so scary.
That just, I had so many bad moments after The Ring where I was like, just, my imagination would run wild. That I realized about myself that I don't really like horror.
And you don't want to be scared because...
Or at least psychological horror with ghosts and possessions and that kind of stuff. Like that especially... I'm not a big fan of jump scares, but I do really like things like sci-fi horror. Like I like the Alien franchise.
I
like
love the Alien
Event Horizon. I like those kind of things that are just kind of spooky and creepy. But for some reason, sci-fi kind of moves it away a little bit that I don't feel.
It's a distance because it's either space or it's so far in the future that I don't know. I like to have some sort of element like that to make a distance, but anything that seems like it could happen in your life or in the real world no. I mean, I don't like it as much, but I'll watch anything, even if I know I'm going to be really scared. If somebody else in my family wants to watch it, I will watch it, but maybe.
So for this one, you will have at least your family member watching with you?
I will probably have my daughter, Corey, watching with me.
I will watch it by myself, probably.
You were going to watch it by yourself? Oh, you have
my
little
wife does
ones.
not have the time, and I just have a bunch of little kids that are not very useful for something like this. I will say that I did watch recently a horror movie that I felt like I needed to, and I completely regretted, but...
Was it Midsummer?
It was Hereditary, same director, but Hereditary, the clicking, I just was so intrigued by kind of the idea of it that I tuned in, and people were saying it was so good, but it was definitely
Did you like
really
it?
Spooky. No.
You didn't enjoy it? I haven't seen it. I watched part of Midsummer. It gave me a really icky feeling. I could see why it would be enjoyable. I could see why other people would like it. But if something makes me feel really gross and bad, then no. Probably
a lot of horror
no.
Can do that.
Yeah.
I like big monsters, big creatures, that kind of stuff. I don't mind that. And I like Stranger Things. I like stuff like that. So
I like horror comedies. That's where it's at for me.
Horror comedy. That's another good one.
100% where my sweet spot is, but I will go other places.
Yeah. We'll see if a few of those pop up in our ideas for what we're going to watch. So before we begin, quick game.
Oh no, trivia.
Let's rank the monster cereals. Are you familiar with the monster cereals that have been around for the last maybe 50 years?
Are you talking about like Mothra and Godzilla? Like what
kind
of monster?
Frankenberry and Boo Berry.
Those cereals.
Cereals.
You know oh my gosh.
I see where I lost you.
My old person brain was going to like a cereal that you watch. Okay,
sure.
Sorry. Don't put that in the podcast.
Literal breakfast cereals. I wish I had a better game, but I take it by you don't remember? Did you eat any of these as a
cereal
child?
Aficionados. We both have talked about our love for cereal.
Yes.
And yes, I've had all of those, and I do have a ranking in mind.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a rundown of. There's actually some new ones, and they've discontinued some of the old ones. Okay. But currently there is Count Chocula. Chocolate cereal, corn cereal
it's basically
with
Cocoa Puffs.
Chocolate marshmallows. Yes. Frankenberry, which is strawberry corn cereal with marshmallows, I think. And Boo Berry, which is blueberry cereal with marshmallows.
Frankenberry's got strawberry-flavored marshmallows.
Count Chocula's got chocolate marshmallows.
But I've got blueberry-flavored marshmallows.
Frankenberry. Count Chocula.
And Blueberry.
And then the new one, Carmella Creeper.
No, I haven't tried that.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to rank it. It's caramel apple flavored corn cereal with marshmallows, and it's also pretty much the only cereal that has a female mascot.
Okay, that
all
bumps
cereals
it up.
of all time anywhere.
What?
Isn't that weird? I mean, I can't think of anything
Who's the
else.
Mascot?
It's
Carmella.
Carmella. This
So it's like the vampire.
like she's like a
kinda
ghoul or a vampire
okay.
or something like that. Yeah.
That bumps it up a bit for me. Then I mean, I would say then that's right above Count Chocula because I don't like chocolate cereal that much. So for me, that would be at the bottom, and then Carmella, and then Boo Berry, and then Frankenberry would be the top.
There was also there was the Fruit Brute.
Fruit Brute.
You haven't had that one?
Never heard of it.
But delicious Fruit Brute has fruit-flavored marshmallows for the howling good taste of fruit.
Frosted fruit flavored with lime flavored marshmallows.
No, what? Lime?
Lime.
And milk?
I don't know. I don't feel like
No.
there's enough citrus in cereal.
That's because of milk.
Yeah.
That's not going to go.
Lime milk, like a lime yogurt. Have you ever had a lime yogurt? It's
I don't know. There's
you
something.
can't see Jen, but she is sticking out her tongue in a disgusted face.
Well, if it's like when when you drink orange juice when you've had milk, how it doesn't go.
Mhm.
That's what I always think about.
Yeah. And then there was another one that was discontinued called Yummy Mummy.
With yummy mummy monster mellows, fruity yummy mummy makes your tummy go yummy.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
That one, yeah, I think that one was like one of the original ones.
Yeah.
And it was vanilla flavored marshmallows with an orange cream cereal.
That actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I would almost, maybe we're overdoing it with berries and we should move.
Yeah,
bring
maybe
that one back.
right under Blueberry.
Yeah.
No, Frankenberry top, then that one, and then Blueberry.
Okay, so we Yummy Mummy. So your final ranking is Frankenberry number 1, Yummy Mummy number 2,
Yeah.
Blueberry number 3. I would assume Fruit Brute. No, you hated lime. So
no, that's gonna be down there.
So Carmella Creeper,
Yeah.
and then what's at the bottom? Fruit Brute or Count Chocula?
I'm gonna say, what was the flavor again of Fruit Brute?
The relaunch had like a cherry flavored cereal with lime flavored marshmallow.
No, that's got to be at the end for me. Sorry.
Okay, so then,
What about you?
that sounds
Does that sound
amazing.
really good to you?
Yeah, but not having tried it, I can't argue with your reasoning here.
Cherry lime cereal.
And did you know that there is Monsters Frightful Friends now released this year that has all the cereals mixed together?
Oh my gosh.
Doesn't, like a chocolate.
What's that called? A
blueberry.
graveyard? A graveyard?
Yeah. Well, I just imagine in the factory they have like
Yes.
these big like things like dumping cereal into vats, and they just push them all and dump it into the
And then
same
it all
vat.
goes in the same one.
It must be very easy to do a
Wow.
mix of all
I bet
cereals.
kids love that, honestly.
Yeah, that sounds like a bit much, but I guess if you're the chocolate doesn't make sense. But I think Carmella Creeper sounds amazing to me. That's the only one I would argue with a little bit more. That maybe
You would think it would be
I think
bump
that
up a
probably
bit
would
more?
taste a little better.
But the apple flavor, caramel apple cereal.
Mhm.
Oh, well, Apple Jacks.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking of, but with like a caramel flavor.
Okay, that might be good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And shout out to Carmella.
Yeah,
welcome to
Carmella.
the
That's
family.
amazing. I'll be Googling that later.
So yeah, hit up your local store. They should be on the shelves this month.
Yeah, I think they have a display.
They probably
of
come
them
out in the summer, but
they have them at Target right now. There's a big display of all the Halloween cereals.
that's it for warm-ups.
Okay.
I couldn't find any good horror riddles or problems to pose to you. So why don't we just jump right in? We're going to get into Kanopy. And Jen, do you want to bring up your first movie that you wanted to suggest?
Yeah. So the first one I'm gonna talk about is Housebound, and I don't know if this is a plus or a minus, but I have seen it more than once, and I do love it. But I haven't seen it for years. But it's basically a New Zealand film where this lady she theft. She gets remanded to her mother's custody, housebound. She's wearing the ankle bracelet where she can't leave her mother's house. And when they take her there, you can see something really creepy's been happening at her mom's house, and she doesn't know what it is. And you should watch the trailer. It is, honestly, it's a good movie, and it is a horror comedy, just so you know. So I like New Zealand humor. That's something I enjoy.
Yeah, I did watch the trailer, and yes, so we were talking about how horror comedy is kind of a favorite thing of ours. So it did look interesting. It doesn't look like it's your standard horror film in that like there might be a monster or something, but it seems like this woman has decided that she's just gonna go to town and deal with this problem. But I like the concept. So that like
And
someone
there's
is
a
stuck in a
twist in
house,
it.
so they can't leave the house for days and days. But if you know a house is haunted, like your first instinct will be, I just leave. Right?
Yeah, but she can't go anywhere. And the bracelet, I think she does try and leave at some point.
But it
And
shocks her
the
or
police,
something.
no, the police are in. They come in, they're into it several times. So
Yeah.
well,
You would imagine someone would be making that up. So I think that's kind of a cool idea. So I would definitely be considering this one.
If that doesn't get into the final running, I just suggest people watch it, because I have actually give this suggestion to other people, and they've always come back and said, "Oh, that movie was so good." And I think even if you don't love horror, it's something you could enjoy. So you want to go with one of yours now? Want to trade back and forth?
I will say also that Housebound is something we have in Kanopy, but also in the collection. We have a couple DVD copies too.
I
You can
do.
get it
I
that
want
way.
to say one more thing. 96% on Rotten Tomatoes,
Yeah.
which is high for a horror film.
So I think we're off to a good start. This is looks promising. And I just want to tag on a couple honorable mentions from my list to this one because the New Zealand horror, and there also seems to be a lot of horror movies coming out of Australia nearby. But I don't think this will probably make it into our final running, but both on Kanopy, both Babadook and Talk to Me, which is about a bunch of teenagers who have a kind of a ghoulish hand, and they do like that for like when they throw parties, they have this hand that they bring out, and then they do a ritual thing. It's kind of like fun and games, but it actually is a possessed hand that will possess people who do the ritual.
Oh my goodness.
And so it's kind of interesting that New Zealand and Australia are kind of being represented in Kanopy for their
Is that a horror comedy or the
I don't think it's funny.
Okay.
And I don't think Babadook is funny either,
Okay,
but
I saw
Babadook is the most
Babadook.
popular
That is scary.
Australian movie like to come out in the last, I think it's 10 years old, but like in the last 10 years, it's like just the most acclaimed movie to come out of Australia, and it happens to be a horror movie.
I did see Babadook. And I think I went into it with the expectations of this is going to be the scariest thing I've ever seen. So I think I didn't think it was as scary just because I went in, with that thought. Like people were
that's
like,
what
oh
I
my
was
gosh.
thinking when I was watching the trailer. I was like, this is going to scare the crap out of me.
And maybe I'm just jaded. Maybe I don't have anything left to give when it comes to scares. I don't know.
Well, that's not good for us. Well, I guess that for you to kind of shield yourself, it's good to be not
I've built a
caring
wall.
about whatever's on the screen. So I just wanted to mention those. But I think for my first legit suggestion in the horror comedy genre, I think one of the pillars is Evil Dead 2.
Yes.
I will say I have not seen Evil Dead 1 or 2. Heard that 1 is a great campy horror film, but number 2 is considered one of the best horror comedies of all time in terms of they mix a lot more humor in the second one. And then I did as a young child see Army of Darkness, which I guess would be the third in the series. Yeah, I thought that was fun.
The Skeleton Army, you probably loved that as a kid.
Yeah, there was. I remember the scene in the windmill where he has the eye pop out of his shoulder and he's trying to stab it with a fork or something and. So I think that would definitely be something up my alley.
I think you would like it, Evil Dead 2. I think so that's like a franchise now. I think there's been 5 movies and plus a TV show. And out of all the movies, that one has the highest rating on Rotten Tomatoes, Evil Dead 2.
Okay, so it is considered the best in the series. Okay. Yeah, so that would be
I would be interested in watching that too. I love Bruce Campbell, who's in that. He lives in Oregon. Shout out to Bruce.
Oh yeah. Doesn't he live down near on the Rogue River or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's at all the conventions and stuff. If you go, you always see him there. So, that one I would look forward. It's from 1987, so that's a good time for horror films.
Cool.
Okay. So my next one is going to be. Well, I'm probably going to overlap with you a lot because I have The Wicker Man, and I don't know if you have that as well.
I did not have it in my top 5 suggestions.
So The Wicker Man is from 1973. It's a folk horror British film. I haven't seen it in a long time. I have seen it. It sounds like I watch every horror movie, but I promise I don't. And I remember that it was weird, and that's my main takeaway. And I would watch it again. It's got Christopher Lee in it, and it does have 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty good for a horror movie.
Yeah, I might have watched this a long time ago. I'm at least familiar with it. And it's kind of like that Midsummer type feel to it.
They call that folk horror.
Folk horror, where you walk into this kind of isolated community that has these traditions that the main character is not aware of, and it becomes Summer Isle. So, I mean, Midsummer, there you go. It takes place on Summer Isle. But I think it'd be fun. I mean, it's a recognizable and notable picture, and it has Christopher Lee. I don't know anything else about any of the other actors.
Yeah, I don't either. I kind of scanned it, but I didn't notice anything.
Yeah, so I definitely something to consider.
So
I don't know if it would be...
if I had to choose between that and Evil Dead 2, I would choose Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page. So, yeah, so...
Okay, well, we can keep on keeping on.
Yeah, we can eliminate it as we go. That's fine. I wanted to bring up The Fog. Originally, I think my choice in this slot would have been Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, I wanted to see that too.
As kind of more of a classic 70s, 80s horror film.
That's a great movie.
And I really like the more sci-fi type horror films, but that went away from Kanopy.
Sadly.
And it would have been good to do a little homage to Donald Sutherland, who passed away recently. But The Fog is another John Carpenter movie, has people, but I think, the most recognizable person would be Jamie Lee Curtis, very early.
But Adrienne Barbeau, she's like the main person in it.
Not familiar with that actress.
You don't know?
Actress?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Did you ever see the original Swamp Thing?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Oh, so this is one that you've seen?
Yeah, I've The Fog. No, I haven't, but I saw the trailer and I saw her in it and I love her.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I haven't seen this, so I think this kind of would be a good one to consider at the end, just because it's a classic. It's from
1980.
It doesn't seem like it would scare me too much.
75% on Rotten Tomatoes, though. But that doesn't mean much in horror. In horror films, it doesn't mean much because they really tend to skew low.
Yeah, it might not be John Carpenter's best offering, anyways. But
The Thing, I think, and Halloween.
The Thing is so good.
I love The Thing.
I wish The Thing was here.
Me too.
But it sounds like we both already seen that one.
Yeah.
So what do you got next?
So my next one, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and this came out in 2010. It has 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think the only famous person in it that I know is it Alan Tudyk? How do you say his name? Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk.
Tudyk from
wow.
Firefly. He's in it, and it's a horror comedy.
So this is 13 years old, but it is a horror comedy. Kind of, it looks like a little bit like maybe in the vein of Shaun of the Dead, maybe.
Well, it
have you seen it?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I mean, I saw it when it came out in 2010. I mean, I don't remember much about it. I just thought it was funny, and also it was one of those unexpected word of mouth hits. It came out, and I mean, obviously, it wasn't a big budget film, but it just became really popular just through word of mouth. So
on the Kanopy page, it describes it as Shaun of the Dead meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So
okay,
probably
yes,
a
I could see
send up
that.
of that franchise. Alan Tudyk is really awesome.
I love him too. It's a good movie, and I honestly think you would enjoy it.
All right. Well, I think that kind of jumps up the list.
But still, Evil Dead 2 is a classic. So
You're coming up with too good a list.
Yeah, I
Is
know.
a
That's
part
the
of our
problem. There's too many options.
We're cooking. Okay. Well, for your consideration, I have not seen the movie Rosemary's Baby. No?
Do you want me to say what I probably should have told you this beforehand.
Tell me about Rosemary's Baby.
Well, the thing is, Roman Polanski.
Ooh, he's not a good person.
And the subject matter is, I just don't know that it's family friendly enough for a library podcast. I love it, and I think it's an amazing classic. I love the visuals of it, because of the time periods and the way that the house looks and the decor, and I think it has a lot to say, and I think you should watch it. I just don't know if it's good for.
And Ruth Gordon won an Academy Award for it.
She is so good in it. It's a good movie. I mean, it's hard.
Okay. We won't put it on the list because it wouldn't really work great for this, but I suggest it as something you guys watch because it is a classic.
It's a classic, and the book is good too.
Oh, didn't even know it was a book.
Yeah, it's a book.
Ooh. All right. Well, what do you got?
I have The Train to Busan. Have you ever seen that?
No, is that a horror
Train to
film?
Busan. Yeah, it's a horror film. It's a zombie film. Yes. How would you like it to be on a train with zombies?
I have always wanted to watch that movie, but I didn't realize what it was about. I just knew that it was very popular. As an AV selector,
very, very good.
I can always get reissues of it, and people will check it out.
The only is, you have to read subtitles because I'm not sure about the dubbing if you can get it in dubbed, but it's in Korean with subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. It is so good. You are never going to be bored through the entire thing. It is very, very fast paced and well done, and I highly recommend it.
Why did that not occur to me? No, I that is definitely kind of moves up to the top for me. Right. We'll consider it at the end. All right, cool. Well, Train to Busan, and then I have Annihilation. Have you seen that one?
I have seen it, and I've read the book.
Right, so it's both a book and a sci-fi horror film.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's more of a psychological horror film. I have seen it.
You saw it?
Yeah. So
Natalie Portman.
Yeah, this is not quite as fun if we've already seen it, I guess. But I really wanted to see what they had in terms of like sci-fi horror, and Annihilation was one of the few kind of notable titles. It doesn't sound like you're too excited about that option.
And so I haven't seen it since it came out. So it would I don't have a great memory. So I can watch things over and over because it's almost like watching it for the first time.
Mm-hmm. It'd be the same for me because I do not remember anything about it.
I just remember it was really weird. I did read the book and the book was super weird too. And I felt like the movie deviated a lot from the book. So it's like, I could still enjoy the movie as something of its own. I do like Natalie Portman. So I would be okay with watching this.
Yeah. So this one is about
scientists. Well, a
group of scientists and soldiers on a mission to find a missing person on a planet and end up going into uncharted territory and with like alien creatures and species. And then
I think that it's Area X or something. They keep the government keeps sending these different groups of scientists there. And some of them never come back, and some of them come back kind of wrong. Like her husband, I remember, comes back, and
rewired.
And so when she goes in, she's kind of like trying to figure out what happened to him. But also, I think they're trying to look for some people that are missing from another expedition. It's good. It's a good movie, and I think we would enjoy it. And I think it could be something that we could recommend to people too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I remember liking it. I thought it'd be fun, and I like that type of subgenre. Mm-hmm. But why don't you throw out your last one?
Okay, my last one is The Host, another Korean monster film. There's like a creature that it basically shows that this factory is doing some toxic dumping, and this creature kind of comes out of just being exposed to the toxic waste, and it's like a giant kind of like amphibian, and there's this group of people that they're a family, and they're kind of lower income folks that sell snacks on the kind of like the riverfront, and their little girl gets taken by this creature and drug into the water. And it was like the whole family, the grandpa, the aunt, the uncle, the dad, they all are like trying to find their girl. And that's kind of like the gist
The cover
of it.
is just the girl being dragged by a tentacle.
Yeah,
so,
I know. Yeah. And like we were speaking about earlier, like if it's something that like you really don't like, or you can't watch kids in peril, then this is probably not for you.
We are considering watching with a coworker who does not particularly like.
Yeah, children in danger. I mean, we don't like it either, but I can handle watching it, whereas it's something that he really doesn't enjoy.
Yeah, and this does look good. I think if I was going to go this direction, Train to Busan would be the more notable one. So, but mentioning children in peril, I think it's worth mentioning another honorable mention. The Baby is new to Kanopy and listed on the horror. And Jen and I were both kind of intrigued by this title. I might have asked her to watch the trailer. And so I would suggest that anyone interested in,
if you
good old fashioned, how do you describe that movie?
If you hear about a horror movie called The Baby, you're going to watch the trailer. I mean, as soon as I heard about it, I had to watch it.
Yeah. The titular baby is a grown man living with his mother and sisters, and they call him the baby, and he probably has never left the house. I don't know. And it was made in 1977 or thereabout, and it's it
kind of casts the women in a dark light, like they are keeping him
it
that
seems
way.
Like he might be the only male character in the movie, from what I can tell, and it was pretty horrifying to watch the trailer, and then. But it's only rated PG, so something you can watch with the family is kind of nice.
No, what's going to happen to my baby? What's going to happen to him?
The Baby, rated PG.
So yes, 1977 PG means probably something a lot different today.
Have you ever seen Clifford with Charles Grodin and Martin Short?
Yeah.
You have seen that? Where Martin Short plays a boy. He plays a young boy.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Big Red Dog.
No, not Clifford the Big Red Dog. Okay. There's a movie called Clifford where Charles Grodin is the adult and Martin Short is the little boy.
I'm sorry, Miss Nice Older Person, but I don't know what you're talking about. Perhaps you were just having a nightmare about your early days in the circus.
but they don't do anything
Martin
to him.
Short is the perfect
He's, like,
little
on
boy.
his-
He's a perpetual little boy.
Yeah, he's like on his knees during the whole movie or something.
All right, that sounds fun. I think the baby probably not fun.
No,
I would just
no.
for our coworker who does not like children in peril. I think a grown man playing a baby might
Might
count.
be, yeah.
Yeah, so
That'd
we
be-
will cross that off the list.
Let's cross it off.
But definitely check out the trailer and watch the baby if you get a chance on Kanopy.
All right. So
Did I think I had one more.
you have one more?
I don't think I have something that will make our top list. I had Nosferatu kind of written
Okay.
down.
Was it the
like,
original
the
one?
original
or, okay.
one? But I don't really want to watch that over some
Is
of
it
these other
silent
titles.
or?
It was during the silent
Okay.
film era. And then there was another one that was really interesting. I just had bought the Blu-ray a few months back and I saw a movie called Possession,
Oh,
which is, speaking of Jurassic Park, what's the name? Sam Neill, the
Sam
guy
Neill.
who plays the
Mhm.
lead in Jurassic Park. It's like a movie from the 70s as
someone
well.
else from New Zealand as well.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Sam Neill.
Can I do a New Zealand accent?
Can you?
I've been watching enough Bluey. I think the thing with the New Zealand accent, you
Mm.
just have to go up at the end of every few
Everything.
words.
Okay.
So if Sam Neill,
Oh
Sam
yeah,
Neill,
you're doing pretty good.
Sam Neill is in possession.
Oh, you're losing
Losing
it.
This is a Jaffa. It's a delicious orange and chocolate sweet. But here at the Rex, now sadly a pie shop, it was the weapon of choice.
I feel like this might also, in the same vein as Rosemary Baby, not really be a great one for a library podcast. It's considered like a great art house kind of horror film
Mhm,
from 1981 is the year. But I don't know. So yeah, because Rosemary Baby is off the list, I don't think this one will make the list
yeah,
either.
right. It might be
Um,
hard to discuss.
But those were the other ones on my main
Okay.
list, and just as honorable mentions, I mentioned a few, but there's Rent-A-Pal. Did you see that
Oh
one?
my gosh, I watched the trailer. I don't know. That looks pretty good actually. To
Yeah,
me.
definitely not a monster or traditional horror movie. It's more
Will
of a
Wheaton?
thriller. Will Wheaton,
Will Wheaton?
as we like to say, a fan favorite, or not a fan favorite, one of our favorites.
One of our. Does anybody else
we
besides us like him? I don't know.
I think Jen has gone in multiple episodes talked about Will Wheaton
Yeah.
and her love of that character from Star Trek. But it's nice to see him take a villain turn
Mhm.
in Rent-A-Pal, where he plays a VHS, like a guy on a VHS that some dude finds, a lonely dude, and they become pals over
And
VHS
it seems like he
tapes.
becomes quite possessive over
Right.
time.
But I read, when I was watching the trailer, I read that a lot of people, the movie made them very sad and depressed. So I was
Oh.
like, yeah.
I don't want to be sad and depressed.
And then just to see if there's anything else, there is Ringu, the Japanese original version of The Ring, which is an immediate no for me. But if you're looking for that kind of horror film,
I never saw
it's
that one.
on
I
there.
just saw the U.S. or the American. Was it American? Yeah, it was. There was an American version of it.
yeah, that was the one that I
Ring.
watched
Yeah.
and made me kind of swear off horror for
It
a
was
while.
really scary.
So I imagine the Japanese is
I bet it's
equally,
scarier.
if not scarier.
Yeah.
And then there was a movie called The Sand about
Mm.
beach sand that kills people, and it's a
Ugh.
very campy
then.
horror
I mean-
film from the early 2000s. So
That sounds
I
interesting.
don't know. I just want to mention some of these horror movies so people out there who are interested in some of them could find them on Kanopy. Just kind of throw them out there. And there is The Mean One.
The mean one.
So The Grinch.
Okay.
But a horror movie.
Oh my gosh. Ugh, I don't know.
I don't know either. And then, so those are my honorable mentions. Do you have anything you want to kind of just throw out just to mention so people know that it's on Kanopy?
No, not really, because I used a couple of extra ones that I had because we both
doubled
picked.
up?
Yeah, we both picked Evil Dead 2 and we both picked The Fog. So I don't
Okay.
really have anything else.
Well, good. Let's get into then. It looks like we have about 6 for consideration.
Okay.
I'll just go through the list here.
Okay.
Housebound, the New Zealand horror comedy. Evil Dead 2, the Sam Raimi horror comedy. The Fog, the John Carpenter 80s movie.
Hmm.
Tucker and Dale versus
Evil.
Evil, another horror comedy. Train to Busan, the Korean zombie train movie,
Mhm.
which what a good combo. And then Annihilation, the sci-fi horror one.
Let's take out Housebound, even though I think it is really
Yeah.
good. I don't think it'll be as fun to discuss as some of the other ones.
Okay. So I kind of liked having a classic on our list. Do you think The Fog can get bumped, or do you want to make that?
Let's bump that and Tucker and Dale. And
Okay.
so now we're down to 3.
All right. Do you have of these 3 movies a favorite?
I have kind of like 2 that I would be hard to choose from.
But that you prefer over
Yeah, I have 2 that I prefer over the third.
All right, what are your top 2?
My top 2 are Evil Dead 2 and The Train to Busan.
All right, well then let's scratch Annihilation.
Okay.
Yeah, I think these are my top 2 as well. So
Yeah.
I really want to. I haven't seen either. You've seen
both of them. Yeah. But
Okay.
it's been a very long time
But
since
Jen
I-
has seen almost everything on our list
I know.
here.
I'm
So,
so- I
so we
don't
can't
know
avoid
how
it.
this
For someone who doesn't like horror that much, you watch a lot. Let's go with Evil Dead 2.
Okay, let's do it. It's a classic.
Yeah, I love Bruce Campbell.
Me too.
And
Sam Raimi's a good director.
yeah, and I think it'd be a lot of fun
Mhm.
to kind of go through the film. And I think we could probably make a good poster of us
Oh,
for
I think so.
for the episode release, the episode artwork.
And even though it is scary and it's kind of gory, it has its lighthearted moments. So that's always nice.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. So we are gonna go and watch Evil Dead 2.
Mhm.
You can do it too, and
That's
then we're gonna be
right.
back in a week or two, or some period of time later to do a kind of a review of the film.
Yeah.
So the way Kanopy works, you just need your library card to get signed in, and it's based off a credit system. So you're allowed to do so many credits or so many films a month. And so it'll take a couple tickets usually to watch a film. So watch Evil Dead 2 and then come back and meet with us to listen to the review.
Sounds good. Can't wait.
Until next time, I'm Brendan.
And I'm Jen.
And happy watching.
Happy spooky season.
Happy spooky season.